Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live. Super excited to get started here. We are mid-sprint, so right in between two updates, which is always like a really interesting time on the internal team because we're getting stuff done. Externally, you guys are enjoying the last update and, begging for leaks on what's coming. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot of great conversation today. If you have any questions whatsoever about anything, please throw them in the YouTube live chat. We will bring them up accordingly, and we're always monitoring. So just throw them in whenever you think of them, and keep it farmer friendly as usual. And I will bring up Luke.
Hey guys, happy to be here today. New background. I know you guys always comment on that. That's just my lifestyle right now. I'm in a new place every week. Get used to it. But yeah, no, super happy to be here. I guess we'll just dive into it. So one, I just want to start off with the bad news that you guys already know. We had to delay Barry withdrawal and deposit for 2 weeks. We got our contract audited. We were trying to do some interesting things with our contract where we wanted to make it so that you guys didn't have to pay any gas in any part of our ecosystem. Would have been super cool. But yeah, now what we have to do is actually go back and just basically change our contracts to standard ERC20s. So there's, no risk there, and just no confusion there as well too, so we can simplify things. And yeah, it's just like a bit of rework on our dev side of things. What's interesting is the work that we did before to make all this stuff gasless was actually a lot more work. So the tech stack that we're changing over to is going to be a lot more simple, and all the things that we had done to build out like a previous tech stack are going to be reused. And it's not anything that's majorly overhauled, essentially. We just get to use all the stuff that we did before in terms of like transaction queuing, retries, gas optimization, and just move it to like a different and more simple stack, essentially. So this should actually perform better. We're excited for that. Development should wrap up on that by the end of the week, and then we just have to QA it and then send it out. But we feel pretty confident in terms of all the stuff that we've been working on before, in terms of like vulnerabilities, exploits. Like a big thing that we were testing before was like duplication bugs. Like when you're withdrawing, are you gonna be able to duplicate? Are you gonna be able to do things in game that kind of mess it up? And we've already tested all of that kind of stuff. So we feel confident in terms of that. If there's any bugs that we're gonna be running into with this kind of stuff, it might just be like, oh, transactions get delayed for an hour or so, things like that. So overall, like expect this to come out within like, another 1 to 2 weeks, it's looking like, because we do have to QA this properly. And then we should be moving on to the next stages. We're really sad about this also. We've been super excited to get Barry withdraw and deposit open. And this isn't something that we're trying to like delay any longer. We know we want this out because it's going to be moving the next stages of Pixels as well too. The good news is all the tech that we're building with this we essentially got to dry run our Pixel token launch with this Berry token launch. This is partly why we wanted to do one token first and then the other, so that the Pixel token launch, it's all the same tech. There's nothing new we'll have to do with withdraw, deposit, anything with it. So that launch will go much more smoothly. We essentially got to use this one as, testing ground. So again, appreciate all of you guys for helping us make this ecosystem better, QAing it with us. And with that, we have like some pretty exciting stuff coming in the next couple of weeks as well. So we're really excited about the next stages. Berry, that's the first step. And then Berry is just kind of like the first piece of what we're doing here as a whole. We talk about like UGC tooling and all the stuff that we're working on before, but like we're getting seriously close to that kind of stuff. Like once we switch on Berry, like the next stage is going to move quite fast. So we're really excited about what's going on with Pixel and, the next stages of that. And I was thinking it might be fun to dive into like a bit of maybe even tokenomics of Pixel, and like ecosystem as well, and kind of describe to you guys what we're doing there. I've been working in Miro a lot lately, basically doing like whiteboarding, diagrams, things like that. I'm interested in like opening that up and going through that with some people or doing that in this AMA. I think that might be an interesting thing to do. So again, we have some bad news with the Berry withdraw and deposit. That's getting delayed, but the other things we've been working on are still moving forward. This doesn't block some of the other stuff. It does probably delay like some of the stuff we want to do with Pixel by like a week or two, which is annoying, but everything else is going according to plan. So again, high level priority here at Pixels is we're working on 3 main areas right now. We're working on pets. We're super, super excited about that. Those got a huge rework actually. All the art that we teased before, we actually decided we want these to look way better. So we've been working on making that art even nicer. They feel really, really good and they look really good. So I'm excited about what our art team's been doing with that. Shout out to them. 2, we've been working on user-generated content tooling. This is a play that we're really excited about and will kind of be the basis of Pixel, which we can dive into more when we go through that token flywheel a little bit later. And then 3, what we're working on is we're working on getting all the stuff with the blockchain integration ready and getting like the next stages of Pixels ready as well too. So it's like essentially 1, getting Berry live and ready, and then that means Pixel as well. 2, it's getting pets ready, and 3, it's getting UGC tooling ready. Those are the 3 main areas of focus, and we're like moving more and more on those every single week. So we really appreciate the patience that you guys have been giving us. But yeah, it's all exciting because it all ties in together and it's going to get us to the next stages. So yeah, with that, maybe it might be just smart to just share screen right now and just kind of go into what we're doing with Pixel. I can kind of go and explain all the stuff as well too, because it's cool what you can do with these token incentive models. And it kind of will give you guys a better picture of what we're planning with Pixel as well and how it ties into everything that we're doing here.
Okay, you have access, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Let's hope I don't share anything more than I mean to share, but
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so we've been working on some of this kind of stuff, and just note this stuff is likely subject to change. But this is what you call like a token flywheel or like a token flow diagram. And it'll kind of give you guys an example or like a feeling of what we plan to do with Pixel and what the actual utility is. So when we're thinking about the Pixel token, we think of it as a tool or almost like a protocol layer in terms of like what we're able to influence with behaviors. So when we think about the Pixel token, we think about it as something that can help us, one, retain current users. So we can give you guys incentives to keep playing the game on top of, all the things that you guys do right now. It's just like a little extra stuff to have where it's like, okay, you guys complete 7 in-game quests, you guys get Pixel. There's like very clear retention mechanisms that we can do with the token there. And those are part of the ecosystem rewards. So if you wanted to start at this ecosystem rewards pool, this is a set of, tokens that we're going to set aside every single week to give out to players for doing good in-game actions. What we can also do and incentivize is things like sharing. So what we love about tokens is that it can also influence viral growth and help us expand to more users. We kind of proved this out in the fall last year when we did our play to airdrop. We had basically no marketing budget set aside for that play to airdrop at all. We spent maybe we say this all the time, we spent $6,000 on marketing in 2022. On like paid marketing where it meant like, a giveaway or like an ad or something like that. Essentially, we did no marketing in 2022. all of our growth was user-driven and organic through token incentives, which we're super excited about that, and we're going to be bringing those back as well too. That creates another type of flywheel where we can influence you guys to do things that help grow the ecosystem and give you guys rewards for doing so. Because I know that you guys want to be sharing this with your friends already, and you guys are doing that, every single day already. Like, we know that there's a ton of word of mouth spreading this game right now. Now, what if we just, also rewarded you guys for doing that? We have this set of tokens and pools to do that. So that's what we're doing there. And again, that kind of goes from this ecosystem pool into the players. Now, there's another really, really interesting thing that we can do as well, where we can actually set aside a pool of rewards that go to creators in our UGC tooling. And the other interesting thing is that creators can also put aside their own pools as well. So what's interesting about how we built out Pixels is we built it to be very interoperable, where you don't just have to use our token in the ecosystem, but you can actually also use your own token. So you see it with the Cyber token, and then you can also kind of think of our Berry token in that sense as well too, where we've built this one game, the farmland game, but we can also support other games and ecosystems that scale us out horizontally. So when we're thinking about creators, you can also think of Pixels, like the company us, as the first creator in this ecosystem that's using our own tooling to distribute rewards, to build games, to build out this ecosystem. So here, what we can also do is we can actually just replace this with Berry for now, but you can think about it as any token. Like, for example, if somebody in the Ape ecosystem was ever to be building out here, they could use Ape coin, or Cyber can use the Cyber token, or if another creator or platform wanted to use their token, like Llama versus Spit, if they ever want to use it here, the creators will actually have tooling to also create rewards based on that ecosystem. So not only can we directly distribute Pixel, but we can directly distribute Berry and Cyber and other tokens, basically any ERC20 to players as well, to also incentivize that behavior. And those are tools that we plan on giving out to the creators in our Pixels ecosystem as well. So they're going to have the same access to the tools that we have in terms of token distribution, where they can actually create their own flywheels in this ecosystem too, where we have the ability to give you Pixel for sharing. These other projects like, Glizzy Gang can give out Mustard for sharing and referring people that do quest in like a Glizzy world, for example, things like that. It's a really cool system where they have these tools where they can actually do their own growth with their own token if they've created the game that's good enough in our ecosystem to retain users and actually like have this significant draw or like give value to the token. And then we can also still give out Pixel too. So then what we're also thinking about with Pixel is, we want different ways for people to be using Pixel in the game. That's super important for us. We want a lot of utility, and we want a lot of burn mechanisms for Pixel, where we want to make sure that this token is, actually getting used. We don't love the idea of governance for that reason. We think it's kind of just like a pseudo way to build out utility before you actually have utility in a token. There's some interesting things that you can do it, but like, let's be realistic. With any governance token right now, they're very centralized, and that's just how it works in practice. Like, we talk about tokenomics a lot, right? There's a theoretical side and there's a practical side. And the practical side doesn't normally match up with the theoretical side, where what we're seeing with a lot of decentralized systems is they still end up centralized, and they still end up making decisions with the hands of several people. And there's advantages to being centralized early on. At Pixels, we've always talked about gradual decentralization, where what we want is we want to start centralized because we can move really quickly. We can actually make things for this token to do. And then what we can do is we can slowly decentralize, give more and more power into the player's hands in the long run. What we're thinking about when we're talking about tokenomics is we really are thinking about this like first year or two, because it's critical that we get the first year or two of Pixels right? We want to make sure that the game and ecosystem is growing, that we're getting more players, and we need to move quickly to do that. So, the idea is, we want to make sure that we have sufficient burn that's not through things like governance and not through things like staking or all other areas like that. What we care about is building out real utility into it. So what we're thinking about with Pixel Burn is we're thinking about two different user personas, and you can think about it right here. We're thinking about all the things that you guys do in game right now, like what makes sense to use for Berry, what makes sense to use for Pixel, what makes sense to use for Ethereum, or US dollars and all of that too. And what this team is actually leaning towards much, much more is we know that we could charge you guys a lot of these things in US dollars or Ethereum, but we don't think that's the ethos that we want to go through. We actually want to provide a ton of utility for this token, and we want to do monetization more of the Web3 way. So that means using this token as much as possible for services that we know provide real value, and people would likely be paying an equivalent US dollar or Ethereum amount, and instead charging this token. Since, again, we think the token can be a superpower. It can be used for really cheap customer acquisition, i.e., we just give you a token, great retention metrics, and if we provide sufficient burn mechanisms for it and sufficient utility for it, we can use it in really powerful ways like that. So we're incentivized, if we want to grow the ecosystem, to make sure that this token can do as much as possible. And when we're thinking about where the game is at right now, and then where the game is going to go as well too, there's two interesting things that we can do for Pixel Burn. Again, we're thinking about two different types of users. We're thinking about players, and then we're thinking about creators. And let me dig into that a little bit more too, if you guys aren't familiar. Right now, all of you guys are players. We have two creators in our ecosystem. We have Pixels, the company, and we have New Cyber and that team. They're a creator, and we have other teams too. We can't leak them. So I guess we have like 3 or 4. But the idea is these creators, we provide them software that we know in our previous business, people paid a lot of money for. People would host events. They would host, mixers, holiday parties on just these virtual spaces that we provided. But now we have a much better product where it's like, oh, we can actually create games for people. Like, for example, we're working with another project right now that we haven't announced yet. We built them a game in our tooling in just about a week and a half. It's crazy how quickly we did it. And imagine if we're not the only ones making these games. Like, if a team can go in and like make an online experience for their users that's, a virtual space, but also reactive, that gets people engaged over the course of a days, there's real business value in that people want to have. I'm obsessed with this whole area of advert gaming that's popping up, where essentially people are creating really, really interactive experiences through advertising that are in the form of games. And that's an area where we see at least potential there, branching with Web2 IP or all that too. There's also the community play, where there's tons of NFT collections that want something for their community to do. And there's also Web2 collections that are interested in being creators. So what we're thinking about is building out all of this tooling, and rather than charging a subscription to use the tooling, or rather than charging, a fee to use the tooling through US dollars, what we can do is we can charge Pixel. And we think that'll be a very good source of burn, because we know we provide clear business value. And instead of, charging for that kind of stuff, we can use the Pixel token to generate real utility and real burn for the token. And there's some other really interesting things too that we can do, where it's like, for example, you guys pay for increased farm discoverability. We have more creators building on the Pixels ecosystem. What we can do is, charge Pixel for more game discoverability. And then also things like, more complex interoperability that teams might want to use for their own games. Like, for example, we're working with we're working with some really interesting projects that are like other forms of interoperability. Like, for example, I don't know if we spoiled this one yet, but I just want to do it now because this one might actually get delayed, it looks like, on that other team, and we might be looking for another partner. But for example, we want to implement a health tracking app integration into our game, where if you have like either step-in tokens or something like that, you walk faster in the game. There's other really interesting interoperability that we're interested in working with on the team, where we can use that as Pixel Burn as well. So there's creator Pixel Burn, where it's like more of like a B2B use case. And then there's also player Pixel Burn as well too, when it comes to things like pets, when it comes to like quality of life improvements, like if you wanted to like essentially get more energy, or if you wanted to like get more backpack space, things like that beyond VIP. And then, doing primary sales or cosmetic items in Pixel as well. Like, there's a ton of ways we can think about it. So essentially, like, when we're thinking about Pixel Burn, we're not thinking about just one route. We're thinking about, many different angles to build out and to like build out Pixel Burn, essentially, where it's like we want to diversify. When we're thinking about, it's the same way that we think about revenue streams for Pixels, the company. And then you can kind of look into what we're thinking about here and see the alignment as well. We're thinking about, okay, what's going into our treasury? Like, how does Pixels stay along in a sustainable frame as well too? So one, it's the Pixels memberships, or the Pixels VIPs, that is that is like an important part of like the revenue model at Pixels. It's some primary sales as well too. It's things like getting partnerships. It's things like, you know, doing events with companies that all flow into the treasury. So we're thinking about, you know, a lot about how Pixels can be sustainable while still providing utility for the Pixel token. And that's why we love the idea of Pixels membership, and providing more perks and more things around that, because, you know, we can build up a treasury of ETH where, you know, we don't have to rely so much on, you know, either selling Pixel or changing services that should be in Pixel to straight up US dollars or ETH. You know, we know that we have tooling and an ecosystem that creates a lot of value. And what we want to do is we want to distribute as much of that value into the token as possible. That's the idea behind what we're doing with the token. But yeah, there's a ton of exciting things that we can do with it, essentially, where we can do all these sales, all of these things with the token and use it for very interesting ecosystem incentives. So I think that's all I kind of want to share around token and stuff for now. But I hope you guys understand like the high level. Maybe I can dig into this a bit too. We'll draw a little bit. Oh, I guess this is kind of what. Oh, I hope nobody saw anything there. Okay, I can't show that.
Closet and, you know.
So yeah, think about Pixels as like an ecosystem here. And think about the first game that we made as, you know, the Farmland game. And we've been building out other games. The Pixels team has been building out other games with the use of our tooling, working with other teams. So we have New Cyber here. We have something else. So the idea is, you know, we wanted to make one game, right? And we built the Farmland game. But we built it in a clever way, I think, where what we can do is actually, now that we built this first game, we can build other games really quickly. We built out New Cyber quite quickly. We built out this next game quite quickly. We have another game that we built out really quickly. Like, we can pump these out with our current tooling. And the idea is we want to keep building out more and more games using this tooling. And then, so we built out all of these. We want to make them more and more unique every time. So, you know, when we come out with new games in the future, what we're thinking about is like, okay, can we add some new functionality that creates a new type of gameplay and mechanic that makes this game a bit more unique than what we have just from Pixels? New Cyber, you know, we experimented with the current mechanics that we're able to offer in the Pixels game right now. This next game will be kind of similar too. When we're thinking about another game that the Pixel team has their hand on, we're thinking about, okay, how can we create new systems that allow users to create something that's a bit more divergent in terms of gameplay? So, you know, we talked about like social gameplay a lot or things like that. We want to give, you know, we want to create new things in our engine that allow, you know, the type of gameplay that the Pixels team can offer to be more robust, essentially. So every single game that we add, we're thinking about, okay, how can we make this engine better? But then the interesting thing after that is these are all Pixel built games. And Pixel is the creator. Send that bad boy to the back. Now what happens when this tooling can be used by anybody? We have a lot more games coming out really quickly that way. Okay, well, yeah, the idea is, oh, geez.
I feel like we should be purple.
Yeah, you know, I've been Mira too much lately.
I'm impressed. Yeah. 0 live, guys. This is a skill.
Yeah, so the idea is now we get UGC games, so games that our community actually creates. We've scaled in a way that's way crazier than before. So instead of us being a bottleneck where it's like one game being created here, we have all these. We have all these. And they're getting created by more and more people. And the Pixels ecosystem becomes much, much greater that way. And then what the interesting thing is too there is and this is kind of part of the thesis, is that having all these games be linked by the same kind of pixel burn and the token there creates a really strong ecosystem and really strong network effects. So it's a tie of kind of, evolving our tooling, starting from this pixels game in the farmland ecosystem into moving to the next stages. So what's cool is, we're really not that far away from this either. Again, we've been releasing games over the last month. We have another one coming really soon. We're really excited with this partner too, and that ecosystem has a ton of potential. I'm super excited about that and what they plan on doing with it. The start is just one piece, and then they're going to keep adding on to it as well and maintaining it in a pretty interesting way with some really cool collabs. So we're pretty excited about that. But then in terms of timelines and what we're thinking about with this is we've already started working on this UGC tooling actually. That's pretty fun, right? So we're actually going to start turning a lot of these tooling pieces that we built to you guys to all of our users in phases. What we're thinking is, the first phase will kind of be building out in-game objects. Phase 1, build out in-game objects. Basically getting PR'd right now. I don't think that'll make the next release, but it's darn close. So these objects will be able to be used in the Pixel game right now. So essentially how it's going to work is all of these changes that you do, we're introducing the concept of, well, this will be phase 2. Phase 2, build out new maps / realms. We're introducing the concept of realms internally. Heidi knows them as tenants. So that's what we call them inside of the game, or inside of our own team. But essentially, we're going to let you guys make new tenants or make new realms that will allow you to make a new map and city. And these will even have their own URL as well, too. And essentially how we were planning on doing the object creation is all these in-game objects are tied to these realms. So we're going to be opening up the user-generated content, like the in-game objects, to all of you guys in the Pixels Farmland game first. But then when we're getting to these stages, like UGC game created 1, 2, 3, 4, you guys will be able to make your own objects as well in those realms. That'll be just specific to those realms. In our game, if you want to get UGC into the farmland game, we're going to have a very tight approval process. But you know what? If it's your realm, then and you're paying some pixel for it, you have more leeway. You can kind of make it how you want. So that's also how we plan this UGC moderation as well too. Any pixel built game, it's got to look nice. We appreciate you doing some work, but yeah, we're not going to put anything in there. But if it's your own realm, feel free, as long as it's not super inappropriate.
Well, what's the really interesting aspect to all of this too is obviously it's really cool when you guys are gonna have new places to explore that are built by other communities or other people in the community. But don't forget that this is going to spark a whole other system of micro communities. So you guys have kind of already seen that a little bit with different guilds or different groups that have popped up or different lands that host events all the time. This is going to kind of push that even further. You're going to be you're going to probably find yourself a part of a couple of different micro communities underneath Pixels, which is just so exciting. And I'm so excited to see how all of that grows.
Yeah, eventually TIFF will revolt and build their own world, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see how guilds build their different lands. And yeah, this whole Keiko thing, they have their own land. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what Keiko is exactly, but I know that it's a wonderful group of people that just say Keiko all the time. Dress the same. So, stuff like that, it'll just continue to build and grow and increase. And yeah, so it'll be really cool.
Yeah. And then here's some other cool stuff that we can do with this too. So we have farmland, right? Since we make the first game and we set the rules, we can do some cool stuff with pets where pets are going to work between all the games. So yeah, you have this Pixels ecosystem. There's things that stick with the Pixels ecosystem. And that includes things like pets. That includes your avatars, all of that kind of stuff. We might introduce some other perks like that as well, like VIP work there as well. But like character effects we want to move over as well. But yeah, pets and avatars, like all of your profile system essentially follows you between everything in the Pixel ecosystem. And what's interesting too is, we plan on, having pets be really tied into Pixel. We can also still tie in Berry to pets as well too. And I think that's kind of what we're leaning towards, where we want pets to use Berry and Pixel forever. When we think about pets, we're thinking about, for Pixel, things like creating new pets, upgrades. And Berry, keep them happy. They need to be fed. So because all of you guys are involved in the Berry ecosystem early on, we don't want to, make sure that it has relevance no matter what. But what's interesting is, we can still maintain out the farmland game, keep providing a ton of utility in the farmland game, and then see, network effects from all these things that we do in the farmland game. So all the things that we do with Berry and Pixel, well, Berry specifically, not just Pixel, because Pixel work in all of these, and Pixel will be really crucial to all of UGC. But everything that we do with Berry, we can still tie into the rest of the stuff too, as, just being a centralized entity that can set rules like this. And, also provide perks to the people who have been in this ecosystem really early on as well too. We like that evolution. Also, I freaking love farm games, so I want to make sure that the farm game is like pretty central to what we're doing here as well. So yeah, that's tokenomics from the high level on what we're doing. And we'll start to release this more and more publicly. But yeah, if you guys have any questions on this, let us know. I hope this all made sense too. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. But we're really can't wait to get onto this stage. We're there. We're building all the pieces now. It's not like we're waiting to build the pieces. Like, these are all in progress, what you're seeing. We've been working on them for months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and someone made us some joke about you leaking content, and I know that's a joke because we have Leaky Luke and what is it? Hinting Heidi and telling Tyler. We got all these stupid things, right? But we're really building in publicly here. Like, we want to bring you in. We want you to be a part of the process and feel like you have like some sense of ownership of where we're going with this project, because like we wouldn't be able to do this without you. And also, we take into account all of your feedback so seriously. It's like a huge part of our building process. So yeah, leaking Luke right here, and he's giving you alpha, he's giving you insights, right? So it's exciting stuff. Okay, we can move over to some questions. If you have any, throw them in the YouTube live chat. I've gathered. Oh my god, my foot is cramping. Sorry. We're real people. I know I was joking about being a bot earlier on our server. I'm sorry to tell you I'm not. Okay, let's hop over to some questions. Okay, so this is interesting because Luke kind of touched on it in various ways throughout his little teaching session there. So are you thinking of something to increase our community or active players in Pixels? So obviously all of this UGC stuff, everything Luke just said is super relevant for growth purposes. And I listened to someone speak last week. We were at a gaming conference in San Francisco, and they were talking about how a lot of your top users are your top promoters as well. And that's like through the UGC aspect of all of that. So I hope you feel like we've kind of already answered this question. If you have anything more specific on it, we're happy to dive into that.
This is the whole point of Web3. Like, this is why we think that Web3 is going to be taking over gaming. This is why we think that Web3 actually makes sense for gamers. Like, we wouldn't be doing Pixels if this part wasn't core to what we're doing. I am obsessed with growth. I'm obsessed with distribution. I'm obsessed with K factors and figuring out how we can increase those as much as possible. Like, that's what I'm thinking about most every day. And it's honestly kind of distracting from the other stuff I need to do sometimes. But yeah, all these steps that we're making and doing right now, they're all thinking about growth, and they're all thinking about distribution. So it's one, like, how can we scale distribution in terms of getting more eyes in front of the game? The UGC content play is why we're doing UGC, like user-generated content. And when we say user-generated content, we don't just mean things like posting on Twitter or creating tutorials. We mean creating actual experiences in game that you get rewarded for sharing with new people. So there's that level of distribution. Then there's also like the micro distribution where I'm thinking about, okay, how can we incentivize you as a player to share this game with more people and to help us grow? That's what tokens can help us do. We can essentially, subsidize our own customer acquisition by, giving incentives to our players to help share the game, to make new content that gets people more aware of the game, and to share it on Twitter. Like, this is why we need Barry out ASAP, so we can start to experiment again with turning that back on. We grew again in October with basically no marketing spend through only these Web3 incentive models, and we are dying to turn these back on. Essentially, our strategy internally has been, one, we want to prove that we can grow with Web3 using Web3 incentive models. Two, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we had a game that could actually retain users without those incentive models. If you have a Web3 game, there is an issue where you might not get the data that you need, that your game is actually fun and getting played for the game. And if you don't have that baseline, that game's going to die and go to zero because people aren't actually there for the game. So what we've done is we have made sure after we had those Web3 incentive growth models on, we turned them off. We want to make sure that the game was retaining users in a way. What's great about Web2 gaming is that they actually have a pretty solid formula to determine, is a game good and is it going to stay like active for a long time? And it's just very simple metrics like, retention. So how many players are, coming back on the first day, 7th day, and the 30th day. And then there's also things like engagement and playtime too. And, our game is actually sitting at pretty good numbers right now. So we feel pretty confident in the actual quality of the game. So now that we have both of these together coming up, where it's like, okay, we have a game that can retain users and we have this system that's coming out that can grow with new users, we're very excited about that. We think we're in a pretty strong position with both of those.
I'm getting reports that our live streams cut out. You can see we've tanked in people watching. Not really sure why. Nothing has changed on my end or on yours, I assume. So, I don't really know how to troubleshoot this, if I'm being totally honest.
Maybe refresh.
Yeah, I don't know how to refresh it without it just like ending, and like restarting. So some people can see us and hear us. I wonder if it's like certain servers from YouTube have just like rugged us, like wherever that person is, they can.
Yeah, no, I was watching those numbers fluctuate.
Yeah. Well, I've just been on Discord. I've just been on Discord. Anyways, we'll have the feed back. Like people will be able to catch up on YouTube for the things that they've missed. So yes, we're working for Reg, and I know he's in North America. So I wonder if international servers have just rugged us. Anyways, I don't know. Let's just continue. They can continue to watch after the fact. But,
so high level, again, what we've been up to is we wanted to make sure that we had a game that could retain users. Like the game had to be fun, and we needed to know if it was fun. The token incentives, when we were going through that experimentation phase, would have ruined our data on if the game was good or not. And what's good is I think you guys feel it. It's like it's surprisingly addicting, right? The game. There's things that we can be doing that will make it better, obviously. And we're going to be working on that. Like a big next stage for us is we want to focus on day one retention. So we have we've kind of focused on like long tail retention first. We want to make sure that like the core gameplay loops are good. Now we need to kind of go back and focus on, okay, first user experience. How do they know what to do? We can't have them watch a YouTube or we can't have them watch like a YouTube video to play the game. What we want is for them to like intuitively know what to do in game.
Okay.
Do you think it's your Wi-Fi, Heidi?
Why would my Wi-Fi only like rug international people? I think I think it's an international problem, just from like the few people that have commented that I know.
You're international.
Okay, I'm in North America. Okay. I don't know. Nothing's changed. Oh, it looks like some international people are getting it back. So I think that's maybe what happened. So I'm so sorry, guys. The TLDR is Luke just went off on how we are focusing on growth from like so many different aspects. And you started with going off about how you're obsessed with growth. and I'm obsessed with retention. So we balance each other out. And it's good.
Yeah, again, like growth is why I'm so interested in Web3. When I talk to people who are in like the startup space or investors or things like that, like that's the main thing I focus on, where it's like, do you guys understand what this can actually do for gaming and how this changes gaming economics and what it can do for like player bases and how it's better for people? It's so cool for these reasons around growth.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very, very interested in this. We have a lot coming. And I would say honestly, like Pixels is the best on this area rather than some of the other sides of things. Like you're gonna have AAA developers come into the space, and there are gonna be games that have higher levels of production than Pixels. That's just a straight up fact, and that's not bad. What we're more interested in is, okay, how do we onboard more people? How do we grow? How do we create distribution moats that nobody else would be able to make? Because this is the stuff that we just care about more.
Totally. Yeah. So Luke and I were just at I keep saying UGC instead of GDC. We were just at a gaming conference, right? And it was really interesting to see that the presence of Web3 gaming was actually pretty prevalent there, like more so than I expected. And I had tons of conversations with people from like all different backgrounds, like knowledge base zero. I actually had a conversation with someone the other day, and I said, "Oh, it's like when people don't know anything about gaming at all, like not even traditional gaming, I say Farmville on the blockchain." And this person was like, "What's the blockchain?" I was like, "Okay, whoa." So it's really interesting having these conversations. But what I want to get to is having these conversations with other people building either in Web3 or not. And I was telling them, "Oh, this is what Pixels is doing here and here. And, our ethos with this, and we're moving in this space and all this." They were just mind blown. And it really forced me personally to take a step back and look and see what we've done here and what we've built here. And it's truly incredible. And each and every one of you have been a part of it. So, shout out to the team, shout out to the Pixels team, shout out to the community. Like we're all in this together, and we've been doing something pretty cool. So don't
When we
forget
tell people our monthly active wallets and then after that tell them how much we've spent on marketing,
that.
it's a good look for us.
Yeah, totally. And I think Web3, they're like, there's something there, Okay, let's hop back to our questions here. There were tons of some good ones in here. Okay, crafting potions. We never told you any recipes, so no comment.
I think people have basically figured out how it works now.
Yes.
So yeah, we have some scientists here in Pixels. They cracked it within like 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So quickly. So
but at what cost? How much berry did they spend?
Part of the game. Okay. Someone's asking about the auction house. Will it be a trading system? Will I be able to place my, I think items. They mean like, items. I was thinking inventory items for other players to buy. Something's coming.
Very soon. It's getting tested right now.
Yeah.
This is needed. But yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. This was back, I'm trying to remember, you were talking about the use of the token with creators. So bless you. Won't that make the price of Pixel token very jumpy? New creator on board, buy X of Pixel, marked at.
So there's two approaches that you can go with, like user generated content. What we actually want to do is we want to like honestly have it more player facing than like company facing or like big partner facing. What we want is we want to make the tools easy enough for an end user to use and easy enough for like you guys to set things up essentially. So we don't want it to be too technical. Like right now, our tooling, we could actually give to a bunch of people and they could probably use it, but it's very technical and it's not something that's feasible for users. There's like different levels that you can go, right? And what we want is we want to really have like a larger player base using this tooling and doing interesting things. Like if you guys ever played Halo Forge or things like that, you don't make like you can do some fun stuff in it, right? Like you can get a lot of use out of like a Halo Forge or like, Roblox is doing some cool stuff too. Fortnite, their creator tools that they just announced, like there's a whole spectrum to this kind of stuff. What we want to sit on is like we want to sit way more in the casual end of the spectrum.
Okay. We actually don't have a ton of questions today. I feel like everyone was so like enthralled with your teaching whiteboard moment.
Yeah,
So
the stuff is complicated, and it's best if you. So when we release the white paper, we'll probably go through it again, and do like a detailed breakdown of all this stuff. But I think this stuff is best like also explained rather than just seeing it.
can I add a clock and a personal notebook to the game?
Oh yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we were talking about. Where okay, so for the UGC tooling, what you can expect at first is it's just gonna be decorations. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we want to kind of make them like more extensible after that. So our tooling is going to see like an evolution so that we can kind of get it out quicker, get it out in stages, get feedback from you guys, release it publicly, and then also have like immediate syncs right away too, so that you don't have to wait 9 months until you can start using this tooling, and like we don't have to wait 9 months until we have like burn mechanisms for Pixel. We can do it in a month, and then we can get the next version of it out the next month, next version of it out the next month, and we can make it better and better. And that way we can actually get like real feedback from you guys as well too. So then there's things like this where it's like, okay, we want to start adding more and more functionality to the tooling that we do. To what I am more interested in lately is, and I've posted it in our dev chat, got no response. But we'll see if this is something that's feasible. I don't want to distract the team too much right now, but potentially open sourcing our front end is something that's interesting to me, where you see Natron from pixelsdata.xyz doing some pretty interesting stuff with the APIs he's able just to read from that he just kind of scraped. We could do some, you guys could probably do some interesting stuff if you had access to our front end source code, doing all this kind of stuff. Like if you guys had access to our front end source code, if you ever played RuneScape, like the Rune Light client and stuff like that, you would have like similar abilities there where there's like a bunch of quality of life improvements that you could add on to the front end. We might even like, I bet people would make like secondary clients and stuff like that. Or they would essentially, like, if you have this like thing that you hate about our UX or UI right now, you're like, this is like 3 pixels off from where it should be. Like those are like pull requests that you could probably put in. So we're interested in that route. If there is demand, if you guys are screaming for it, that might make it get done faster. So if you guys are interested in open source, let us know.
Okay. This is a good question. How do I become a tenant?
Yeah, so we'll probably roll out that kind of stuff on a, like, we'll probably roll it out. So we'll probably roll it out to like things like landowners first, if they want the option of doing that, and then open it up to more and more people after. Like this will be interesting to see how this goes. We definitely want to test it with less people first, and then open it up to more people after. So that's one really interesting perk that we can do for landowners. Or VIPs after that. We could go landowners. We could probably go farmhands, landowners, VIP, public, that kind of stuff.
When combat?
Yeah, so we're interested in adding skill-based gameplay. Combat can look like a lot of different things. It could look like hitting people with a sword, or it could look like Splatoon, where you're like painting a battleground, basically. It could look like racing. It could look like other things too. So we're interested. We're trying to move in that direction, and that's what we're kind of meaning when we're talking about the next things that we're going to release. It might be like larger lifts on our end, but it's because we want to make our engine more capable of doing things like this that also our users can kind of build on top of as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I know we've gotten some questions about like the sauna and that kind of stuff. Please throw them in the feature request form that we have. We read every single thing that you guys put in there and discuss it internally. So you can find it easily on our Discord server in the I need help section for questions like that or just suggestions. We love to hear it. But yeah, I think we can wrap it up a little early today. We don't have a ton of questions. Luke, is there any last things you wanted to say?
Yeah, let's
mayor election. Hold on. We should talk about that.
Wait, let's talk about that.
Okay, so we closed the nominations a couple days ago, and now we're just putting everyone through our algorithm. And then also I've been discussing heavily with the team on like what's possible here. So it should come in probably the next day or so. You guys, I will be reaching out to the candidates, and then they will choose their platforms, and then we will implement the voting system. So we're hoping, so obviously you guys know that we work on a 2-week sprint schedule. So instead of this being like monthly, it's going to look more like every 2 sprints, which is roughly 4 weeks. So I think our next release is in a week. So hopefully we'll have everything live for that date, and then the first mayor will be implemented next Tuesday. Oh my goodness. Okay, we got to get voting going ASAP. But yeah, so it's coming. It's exciting. We're just going through the data, through putting people through the algorithm, all the things. So, all right.
Yeah. Let's touch on this too. So Gridcraft, that's an interesting situation where it's like, how much does their team want to get invested in like into that whole situation? Like that's what we've been going back and forth on a lot lately, and me internally as well too. What we do have with Gridcraft right now is we have support for the identities, which we can turn on, and that might be the best next route to go. There is still something interesting that we might be able to do. I'm still interested in seeing if there is like a community that's left in Gridcraft that we can do something with. So I'll re-engage soon with that community. I have Discord access to the Gridcraft community myself, and now we can start to focus on other things like that as well too. So yeah, we'll stay in touch about that. But yeah, the identities, maybe that's best just to turn on now so that you guys have something to do with those. And then in terms of like further support, that's something that we still need to kind of work out. My worry about the Gridcraft community is like how many people are actively going to stay involved. I'm just going to be fully transparent. Like how many people are actively going to stay involved. And then like there's no funding on the Gridcraft project right now too. So there's cost to our team if we wanted to help them with it. But if there is a good community there that wants to help see it stay alive, there wouldn't be a ton of cost to do it. Realistically, we said like it would probably cost our team like $10,000, $15,000 in art, time, all of that kind of stuff. So that's not an unrealistic amount to raise from a small community. And if that's something that the community is interested in, like that might be something that we float around with them again.
Okay, we just got a ton of questions. So here we go. Can you guys make a system for those players that don't have VIP so they could trade stuff? Okay, so people that don't have VIP can still trade. There are just limits to it. And we realized that we didn't make this totally clear. So we upped the trading limit to be pretty high. So they shouldn't be facing any issues at the moment. But we are going to rein it in a little bit more soon. We will keep you guys updated on that once we make it very clear and obvious to the user what those limits are and how they can work within them without VIP. So yeah, information is coming on that.
So again, what we introduced last week is we built out we released VIP, Pixels VIP, and we gave it for free to 25,000 users. And what Pixels VIP does is it allows you to trade freely within the game. And it allows you to do unbalanced trades as well. So the idea is there's like two concepts. There's buying berry and there's selling berry, right? The normal player in the game shouldn't have any issue trading. What we actually do is we tally up your entire inventory and we look at the value of your trade essentially. So we'll take like, if you're trading pot berries, grumpkins, all of that, we have like a value assigned to them. And you should only be able to trade for the amount that these items are going on the market essentially. So if you're trading like over the counter for like, you're selling 10 pot berries are like supposed to be getting 10 berry each. Then if somebody trades you 100 berry, that's a balanced trade. You can do infinite amounts of those. But the issue is when you're trying to sell berry, essentially. So if you're trying to give somebody berry for nothing in return, that's what we limit right now if you don't have VIP. And it also will apply to the withdraw as well, too. That's limited. The amount of berry that you can sell, essentially giving away with nothing in return, to 10,000 berry a month right now. And it resets on the first of every month. But we're actually going to scale that back. So what we want normal players to never run into these limits. Or if you're just playing the game, doing fair trades and want to progress through the game, totally cool. Also, even players without VIP, they will always be able to receive berry. So if you have items in game, or if you're like a noob basically, and somebody wants to give you items, it doesn't penalize you. But that noob or that new account won't be able to give items away to people. So like if this new account was to get like 10,000 berry through farming for a month, or like 12,000 berry through farming for a month, they wouldn't be able to sell it without anything in return. Like they would have to get an equivalent amount of pot berries or an equivalent amount of grumpkins back or something like that. If they got VIP, then they would be able to sell the they would be able to just give away 12,000 berry essentially. This basically allows it so that bot farms, if they want to bot berry, they have to get VIP to give it away to their hierarchy essentially.
Okay, this is a good question. How do we know if we are VIP? So if you haven't redeemed or claimed it right now, you are not. And a super easy way to see if anyone is VIP is hover over them in game and their name will be gold or yellow in color. So people that qualified for a redemption of VIP were either in the top 20K during our play to airdrop back in the fall, or we took a snapshot of mid-February, we took a snapshot of all players that had completed a certain number of quests, and this was including our Valentine's Day limited time quest. And the purpose of this was to also reward active players that weren't around back in the fall. So if you are in either of those two user groups, you can redeem 3 months of VIP for free. So go in game, walk over in Terra Villa, just like a little bit southwest of the fountain. There's a little VIP kiosk. You can click on that and it will take you over to the page where you can redeem. And you can also click on the dashboard button in the top right of the HUD. There is another button that takes you to a dashboard, which you can also get to the VIP area from there.
So what we did with this VIP claiming as well too is you don't have to claim it right away. So if you want to wait later, like if you are saying, hey, like I want to wait till I get more berry in game and then I want to claim it for my 3 months, you can wait. So a bit of game theory with that too, where if you're like, oh, I want to wait till the pixel token comes out and claim it then, you can wait as well then too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What other questions we have? Okay, so what can the mayor do? That's a good question. So I'm not going to release exactly what the options are quite yet, just because they still are in the works. But basically, we have 2 different lists that they're going to have to choose from. And we've got a good list and a bad list. And they have to choose 2 from the good list and 1 from the bad. Now, the good list does include some selfish items. So if they get voted in, they could instead. Okay, let me be clear. Let me roll back. Sorry. They're going to choose 2 good and 1 bad. That's the platform that they will be running on. And that is where you guys will vote and make your decision. Once the candidate is chosen as mayor, we will go back to them and ask, do you want to change any of the options that you chose? At that moment in time, they can swap out one of the good items for one of the selfish items, right? So there's different things that they can do here. I'm not going to tell you exactly what those different things are yet, but just get ready. It will come in the next couple of days and you will be able to vote on their platforms. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So yeah, we were talking about how we don't like governance before, but we like the idea of governance and what that means. Like we want you guys to feel like you're involved in building out the game with us. We want you guys to make decisions on the future of the game. And we love the idea of like pseudo governance basically, but not like essentially saying, hey, we have nothing else for this token to do. Let's just do governance. Like we don't like that.
Yeah. And it's a game. We want to have fun, right? And this is fun. This is like a way that we can kind of disrupt the game a little bit from the community's perspective, if that makes sense. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm really excited. Okay, let's see our other questions.
Yeah, so what's great about VIP is we can add more perks to it, because one of the advantages is if you have VIP, you're much, much more likely to be a real user. And what we can do is we can also do more interesting things with all of you as well, where we don't have to worry so much about cyber attacks or bot attacks when we offer perks to these types of users. So when we're thinking about pixel distribution as well, we're thinking about adding distribution to 3 types of players: to farmland owners, to VIPs, and to people without VIP. So you'll be able to get, you'll have tasks essentially based on like which of these 3 that you are. So if you are a farmland owner, you're actually going to get a unique set of tasks on top of the tasks that you get from being either VIP or from being, or actually we might tie together VIP and like the farmland tasks. Like that's still up in debate. Let us know your feedback on that. But essentially, like the idea is we want to give out unique tasks for farmland, VIP, and free members, and distinguish between the like at least the two cohorts. Where if you're VIP, we can actually give you additional, rewards to earn pixel or to earn other tokens in game, because there's one, less of you. Two, we're more confident you guys are real players. And three, it's like a pretty interesting feedback loop with that as well, right? So not only is there, like this idea of like, the extra perks in game, like the quality of life stuff and like the trading limits, but there's also other interesting things that we can do when it comes to the pixel token that we're looking into.
Okay. So this person was asking this question when we were talking about what a balanced trade looks like. So all the items have value even though we can't sell it on market.
Yeah, I mean, there's like an unofficial market of all these items right now, right? Where you can go into the Discord or the Pixels Trading Discord, and they all are priced at a price point that the market has set, and that's where we kind of want to set the trade balance too.
Okay, so then hopping back to VIP, this person said, I already bought 3 months of VIP. So going back to what we said is you can redeem this whenever you want. So if you purchase VIP, after that 3 months expires, you can go back and redeem the 3 months that you got from being one of those 2 user groups.
Yeah, that's the big brain move, honestly.
Okay, do you have plans to release on Android or iOS?
Yeah, so what we're seeing and hearing from people who are building the Web3 gaming space that are trying to get on the App Store is it's really the token integration that that makes it like more difficult, essentially. So having like the full game loop in game, and this really depends on how we implement Pixel in game, how we implement Berry. That might be a little difficult in terms of like getting past the regulations. What we're more interested in is getting mobile web browser working first. And then there's also some pretty interesting things going on with the Epic Game Store too. Like there's a chance that Epic Game Store, like they might be able to sideload it into iOS or Android eventually, so that you can actually go through their launcher. So we'll see how that goes, depending on like how some things in the European courts play out. But beyond that, what we're interested in is like one, mobile web first. Two, depending on timelines and all of that, like we would probably do a companion app on iOS. So especially when we're thinking about pets, where it's like you can take care of your pet in a companion app, and that would most likely be okay. We would make sure that it's like stripped down, different game loop, doesn't directly use the token.
Okay, so when is Jukebox and Poker Table coming to VIP Lounge? So we literally were talking about this in an internal chat like an hour ago. Changes are coming to the VIP Lounge. Just exciting stuff, more like art related. So it might not be called the lounge anymore. It might be something a little different, but it'll still have the same utility as in you'll, energy rejuvenating and all of that. So stay tuned.
Yeah, so this is a comment on the prices of like in-game items and how they're getting traded. What's actually interesting is we do set prices on what you can sell these items to the store for, but that's actually not where most of these items are getting traded on the market, which is actually pretty good game balance on our end, because that means these items actually have more utility in the game than just being sold to the store. So we do set prices on what you can sell them to the store for. But on the OTC markets right now, if you're looking in Pixels Trading, or if you're looking in the trading channel in Pixels, like you'll actually see that these prices don't line up with the in-game sell prices. And then we do have a marketplace coming soon too, so we'll see even better like price liquidity and like stabilization with that. We're really excited to see what happens when that happens.
Yeah. So, we just clicked it at the same time. Yeah. So you basically just said it. When is an in-game marketplace coming for game assets?
Yep, that's coming. And what's really cool too is the marketplace will also work with the player-made decorations and objects coming as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's big. So can I re-emphasize that? You will be able to make your own in-game objects and sell them on the Pixels marketplace. Pretty cool.
Stoked. All right. Okay. I think we can wrap it up here. This was after your spiel, your whiteboard moment. So we appreciate the feedback. Do you guys like these kinds of things where we're really raw and open and like pulling out whiteboards and our notes and all of that? Like, do you enjoy that? Is that the kind of updates that that you want to hear. So, I mean, thank you. We really appreciate that feedback. Okay, cool.
Wait, one more. I just want to say we can't answer this.
You'll have to wait and see. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. If we missed any of your questions, or you think of anything else, please throw them in one of the general chats on our Discord. You can tag either of us, Farmhands, community team, and we will all answer you as quickly as possible. And with that, we will see you next week. Bye, guys.